this post I'm going to show you guys really personifies how like modern comic pros, and what I mean by that, it's those that participate in the comic book kind of culture, and from the mainstream sense, excuse me, and the industry, which I think has obviously elements that are severely outdated, that don't even make sense, even from the distribution on upwards. But more so, what we're talking about is, the Marvels, the DCs, not just the Marvels and the DCs, but you get it as a kind of a standard, an industry standard that these guys operate on as far as what's more tolerable and what's acceptable. And one of these things that I've brought up many times have been how self-absorbed and self-righteous and self-important a lot of these guys are, right? I think they feel as if because it's worked for a very long time, they feel if it doesn't come through those mainstream kind of funnels, channels, like it's something that's not legitimate about it. And I get it. I guess you can make that argument for a lot of different things where it's like, yeah, if it's being put out there, promoted by the big dogs, the head honchos, no matter how fake and unauthentic, non-organic that it is, that's what people pay attention to as far as, okay, that's what the standard is, and that's what you're always going to be measured up against. Here's an example of how self-important these assholes think they are. An example of it is right here. And this is Scott Kurtz, who is a cartoonist, of course. Pronouns in the bio, why wouldn't he? And what this is an image, and it's Scott Kurtz showing a image of the. I don't know if is it his? Did he get the book, or is he showing the page by way of someone else? Maybe he got the book. I don't know. But Scott Kurtz says, "Imagine being so disliked by the comic book industry, you have to write your own pull quotes for the back cover of your books." See. And obviously, for those of you that cannot see and maybe listening to the audio portion, what this is Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog. And I don't give a shit how you feel about Ethan or anything of that nature. That doesn't matter. This idiot right here, this is the self-importance of the comic book pros, where he thinks it's bizarre a person that in his own book puts the quotes of what his statement is as it pertains to more of a description of what it is that you're reading. And all it says, as it says right here, is that it just says a dark sequel to Cyberfrog Blood Honey. So he's describing what this is, and he quotes himself. It doesn't make, let's say this, it makes sense, especially when you consider stuff that's going to be usually in a beginning, front cover, something that's going to be in the back cover of a book. It's so trivial to talk about. That copyright isn't generally done by the writers. Almost never is it done by the writers anyway. So even in that context, it will make sense. Like, okay, if this is the part that is me, that this is the writer that I'm giving you a description of what's happening. And it's like the dude's trying to basically say that, well, he's so disliked by the industry that he couldn't get, I guess, approval or get quotes from us. And I'm sitting here, when I first read this, I was like, these guys really think they're more important than what they are. Idiot. You're not the measure anymore, man. Like, that was the whole point. Like, again, for those of you that don't know who Ethan is, he's he's an incredible artist. He's done a lot of work. A lot of you guys know him helping a lot with the Green Lantern stuff for DC. But he's done Marvel stuff as well. We have an episode on Fort Cannon's Sake with Ethan talking about his history in comic books. Now, he recently went into the more independent circuit. He's making more money. He's made over $1 million off of Wrecked Planet, Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet, I believe it was. He's making more money than he ever made working for Marvel and DC, and I think partially that's why a lot of them are sour. But imagine having that position, like, well, he quoted himself. He didn't quote us because he's so hated by the industry. Like, so what? So what? Do you not understand the point of what it is, guys like Ethan, what it is that he's doing and what it is that we're doing? Myself with me throwing my hat in there. We're not measuring ourselves up to you because you're fucking losers, guys. You're broke. You're losers. You're broke. Nobody wants your material, which is why you absolutely have to, for the most part, funnel it through those mainstream sources. Nobody cares if you co-sign our work. We don't care. We don't care, but they're so self-important. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, where they think that it's not legitimate if it doesn't come from them. So they think they're proving something by like, oh, well, people dislike him and he didn't get quotes from us. Imagine that. The motherfucker made over $1 million in revenue. And the crowdfund, one of the most crowdfunded, if not I believe it's the most crowdfunded in terms of its grossing on Indiegogo. Who cares? Who cares if he got somebody to co-sign, which all that shit is bought and paid for? What? He didn't get Entertainment Weekly to say to Shield, the guy that didn't even fucking read the book, to say, "Oh, this is the greatest thing in the world." He didn't get Vox like Marvel does. Get Vox to say, "Oh, this is insanely political and great and all of this stuff." He didn't get, no, of course he didn't. But you got to understand the whole point and why the independent circuit is so valuable right now, and why we find it so attractive, and why a lot of people are leaving the comic pros for both independent circuits and more manga artists, because we're not paying attention to what the comic pros, and some of those comic pros, not just Marvel and DC's, Dark Horses, Images, there's a lot of these guys that participate in what is generally kind of understood to be the standard of what they feel like the comic book, and they've been able to run the show for a very long time. Now, thankfully to the connectivity and the internet, we got people able to basically do their own comic books, fund their projects by their own customers. Imagine actually caring about your actual customers, which you're forced to do it if you're doing like more independent stuff, and you get to have a direct line of sight. But someone having a description throws these guys so off. Describing the man that wrote the damn thing, quotes, okay, on the back of it, like, okay, this is me saying this, right? This is what the description is. And they're looking at it like, oh, he's so disliked by us, he couldn't even get pulled. No, you guys are making comic books for your peers and to impress Twitter normies, and it doesn't equal sales, which is why you're getting your ass kicked in your own backyard. Why on earth would myself, or in this case, obviously Ethan, or anybody that is trying to be detached from you anyway? We don't even want to be, people don't want to be associated, if we're competing in a sense, but it's not even a respectable competition here. Like, you got this competition, like, for example, I throw my hat in there, me and EVS, we obviously would be competing with each other, but it's respect level. We don't even have respect for them, those comic pros. You guys have ran stuff into the absolute ground. Why would we want to get quotes from you, which are fake for the most part anyway, to co-sign? But that's how self-important they think they are. They think that if it doesn't go through them and they don't co-sign it, where there's something wrong, and doesn't matter if you make way more money than they broke ass. And believe it or not, they are fucking pissy broke over there with a lot of what the comic pros are doing. They have to concede that. And they don't like the idea of some people going independent, especially people that were formerly of their industry, going independent and making all the money. So the best that they could do, you can't knock EVS or the others in that circle that have been able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of the crowdfunding, getting building a following and getting people enthusiastic about it. You can't grill them on that. So what you grill them on? Well, he didn't get co-signed by us because the industry hates him so much. It just flies right over your head. These guys are idiots. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.